I want to tell you that today is the last day that you are going to be puzzled about how to move forward with building your wardrobe. There are content creators out there who will be charging you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for content exactly like this. And I'm just going to give it to you all for free because, I love you guys. We're going to talk about building your wardrobe in layers, prioritizing wardrobe gaps, managing an endless wish list. By the end of the video, you're going to walk away with applicable steps that you can take with your own wardrobe and just basically how to start from point dot. From today, from no matter what your wardrobe is looking like at this current moment in time. Let's talk about building your wardrobe in layers and what exactly do I mean by that. I think the transitional seasons are the perfect time to start thinking about your wardrobe in this way because we do quite a bit more layering with our outfits during this time of year. We kind of need to have most of our different aspects of our wardrobe on hand all at the same time. So if we think about building an outfit in layers, generally we'll have the base layer, the thing that's closest to our body besides our undergarments. Then often we'll have the middle kind of more styling layers, something to give a bit of texture or dimension. Next we'll have our outerwear and our practical layers. And I'm including footwear here as well because I find footwear is one of the most important aspects to any outfit. It's going to be something that interacts with the weather and it's going to have to stand up to every single practical task that you need to get on with during your day. And then the last layer I'm calling cherries. These are the cherries on top. These are the accessories, the things that stand out, the things that are the sort of chef's kiss at the end, the little styling items. It could be a scarf, jewelry, your hair and makeup even could be included here. So basically a well-rounded outfit, especially for this time of year where we're going to probably need something from all of these layers. We're going to need our base layer, our kind of middle styling layer, the outerwear layer, which is also the practical footwear layer, and then also the accessories or cherries on top. So we've got 4 layers. That's how we build up our outfits. And this is also how we're going to build up our wardrobe as well. For most of us, our wardrobe tends to be somewhat lopsided and it will be skewed in the direction of the layer that you prefer the most. You might have a penchant for beautiful outerwear, for jackets or for beautiful shoes. And so you might have a whole lot in that area, but then a little bit less so either in the accessories or maybe in the middle layers. Whatever the case may be, usually we have a strong foundation in at least one of these layers of our wardrobe, and then the other layers might be kind of falling behind a little bit. I encourage you to go and do a little audit of your wardrobe to check out what is in there basically. Make an inventory of everything that's in there and categorize them according to the different layers. I don't think that there's a particular percentage that you have to have, like 25% of items for each layer. You might need more items in one category than the next, and that's going to be completely different from person to person, from place to place, from climate to climate, So you have to make that kind of decision for yourself, but knowing that there are these 4 layers that basically make up your entire wardrobe and looking at your wardrobe through the lens of, do I have enough items to satisfy me in each of the 4 layers? If we put a pin in the layers idea for a second, I'm going to move on to the next idea that I had, which was all about prioritizing your wardrobe gaps. And we need to think about these 2 kind of ideas in tandem with each other in order to have a really clear set of guidelines for moving forward. I talked about it in one of my previous videos and I'll link that somewhere up here and down here, but prioritizing wardrobe gaps basically means that you know which items are the most important to purchase first and which items you can put off to later or put further down the list. So the first wardrobe gap would be the practical or the seasonal requirements that you have. So that means that's something that you could technically wear like right now, today, or in this week. That's going to suit your lifestyle currently as it stands. That's going to suit the current season, the weather that is happening right now, especially if you have absolutely nothing in that category to fill that gap. So if that means like a practical pair of sneakers, a practical winter coat, a practical pair of walking shoes, you'll know for yourself the most practical pieces that are missing in your wardrobe right now. And they're going to be right at the top of the priorities list. The second priority that we're going to prioritize The second category that we're going to prioritize after the practical category has been taken care of is the aesthetic gaps in your wardrobe. So these are the things that bring you closer to your personal style, the things that are maybe not as practical, although they also can be, but they are the aesthetic gaps in your wardrobe. So if you are reaching for more of a feminine style, but you are lacking feminine pieces in your wardrobe, that would be an aesthetic gap to fill. And you can combine categories 1 and 2 together. So you could get a practical winter coat that also has feminine details, for example. And that way you'd be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The third and final sort of wardrobe gap that we'll be prioritizing is basically like the upgrades, the replacements, and basically everything else. So this is the section of your wardrobe where you have an item that's basically like filling a need right now, but it might not be exactly what you want. It might not be exactly the correct style. It might not have exactly like the perfect fabric content that you would prefer, but it is something that you can wear for now. And so it might not be as important to replace that item right now, especially if you have items that are more pressing on your list, practical items or the aesthetic gap items. So hopefully that makes sense, prioritizing the wardrobe gaps according to what's practical, what's aesthetically missing, and then just upgrading and replacing things as needed. And then if we come back to the first idea of the layers in our wardrobe, you can have this kind of go between of the 2 checklists when you're looking at, things that you're thinking about bringing into your wardrobe at the moment. Very important to also keep in mind that building a beautiful wardrobe takes time. It takes a little bit of patience, and it takes having a little bit of grace with yourself as well. Nobody is giving you any pressure as far as like having a perfect wardrobe right now today. We are going to move our way slowly, sustainably, and mindfully towards the wardrobe of our dreams, towards the style of our dreams. And when I say sustainably, I mean like sustainable for your emotional health, sustainable for your mental health, and also sustainable for your wallet and your budget as well. It can be so easy to get carried away by the wish lists, to get carried away by all the things that you quote unquote need to have. And so, yes, just ground yourself back down into gratitude for what you already have and peace with this moment where you currently are. There are probably things in your wardrobe that are serving you really well at the moment and that you look incredible in as well. So sometimes we just need to stop, take a breath, slow down for a moment and remind ourselves that like, I am okay in this moment. I have everything that I need and I am mindfully and purposefully moving with intention forward towards something even more beautiful. I'm going to walk you through my current wish list items and how I would sort of go about rearranging and reprioritizing them according to what's the most important for me currently, my practical gaps, my aesthetics gaps, and which of the 4 layers of my wardrobe are these pieces serving as well. Something that I've been doing with my wish lists for a few months now is that I've been making specific Pinterest boards for my wish list of that month. And this is mainly for me to be able to look back and see how my tastes are changing, evolving, and like possibly even being influenced by the trends of the moment, which I'm not a person who is like actively out there seeking trends. It's quite easy to be aesthetically kind of swayed from time to time by trends or just by things that you're seeing other people wearing. But yeah, I'll leave all of my wish lists linked down below, and also all of the items that are on my wish list that I've had my eye on. I'll add them all into my Shop My, so you can have a little look at them down below as well if you'd like. I always try and link everything that I'm sharing or everything that I'm wearing, and if not, I try and find similar items, and so all of that information is usually down in the description box below if you're ever curious to find out. Okay, so these are my current wish list items in no particular order. I literally just wrote them down as sort of like a brain dump. A scoop neck long sleeve top, either tops or bodysuits actually. I feel like these 2 are interchangeable. I have that as number 1 and number 2. So the scoop neck is really important to me. The cardigan that I'm wearing at the moment is pretty scoop neck, especially if you do it all the way up to the top. But I'm thinking something that's like quite kind of exposed on the chest. Anyway, I could talk about like one item on my wish list for a million years. So number 2, bodysuits, especially in 3/4 sleeves. Could be short sleeve or long sleeve as well. A floaty blouse, of course, obsessed with the Doen blouse. I think it's the Hetty with the blue flowers. Essentials, so tank tops like the Cezanne Marcello, and also a classic fitted cashmere jumper would not go awry as well, because unfortunately I had 2 laundry mishaps with my 2 cashmere jumpers. Anyway, they have gone bye-byes because they do not fit me anymore. They got shrunk. Next, jeans that fit me, because I have lost a little bit of weight recently, and so my jeans just are not fitting like really snug how I want them to fit. And also I just need a little bit higher of a rise in the waist as well. Christy Dawn dresses, of course, completely obsessed. If you've seen my recent video about the feminine brands roundup that I did, Christy Dawn is like up there. Love their pieces. A Jerf Avenue dressing gown, absolutely a necessity in my life. And then as far as bags, I am really loving the Meloy. I'm really loving the Meloy bags, especially the Helix. It's like this gorgeous kind of leather bucket bag thing. The Kuyana new drop of bags are amazing. The mini double loop bag, especially, I have my eyes on. It has that brown crocodile print, kind of similar to the Cezanne Claude that everyone loves. And then also the Strathberry Ozette bag is to die for. There's 2 different prints. One of them is this sort of tartan, which is perfect for autumn, of course. And then the other one is this creamy white vanilla leather with a print of birds on it. It's exquisite. I've never seen anything as whimsical and beautiful as these Strathberry bags. I'm in love. Jewelry, especially rings. And then lastly, shoes. So would love a pair of burgundy boots. And then I'd also be really keen on another pair of Everlane day gloves. I have them in black. They're amazing. And then let's see. Yeah, I was thinking brown, which they'll be restocked in my size in the new year. So I'll have to wait a few months if I want to get those, but that's fine. I can wait. All right, and so there we have it. That is the current wish list, which I could have kept going, but I stopped at 10 items because I'm just trying to keep myself under wraps here. So let's see how I would go about sort of reorganizing these according to my principles of filling my wardrobe gaps and building my wardrobe in layers. Actually, something that I forgot to mention before also is that when you're thinking about the layers in your wardrobe, some of those layers are going to be more important to prioritize than the other layers. And it's not just because you have less items in those layers, but some of them are just simply more important to have because they are more practical items. So say, for example, if you don't have very many items in your cherries section, like the accessories, and that could be anything from like a colorful scarf, a hat, your jewelry, any kind of finisher for an outfit that is basically like bringing the vibes, but it's not necessarily needed in the outfit. Like, you're not going to die if you go out the door without your earrings on, you know, whereas you absolutely have to have shoes on your feet when you're going out the door. So I feel like if I had to prioritize the 4 wardrobe layers, the most important layer to me would probably be the practical and the outer layer, because that is the layer that sort of interacts with your outer world, that keeps you safe, that keeps you warm, that keeps you dry. So it's very important for this layer to be solid. You don't have to have a million items in this layer of your wardrobe. You simply have to have enough to where it can work with every single outfit. Probably the next most important layer would be the base layer, because this is something that it's the building blocks of your outfits, right? It makes up every single outfit that you're going to wear, and it can be to your, aesthetic tastes as well. It doesn't just have to be like these bland, boring pieces. So I would say most important is outerwear, second most important is the base layer, the third most important is probably the cherries, honestly, and then the fourth most important is the middle layering layer. To me, that's how I would prioritize them personally. Anyway, we have our wardrobe gaps prioritized, we have our layers prioritized, and now we're sort of facing our wish list, which may be 10 items like mine, or it may be 500, which is also like my secret wish list. It doesn't really matter how long your wish list is. The point is just to make it sort of like break it down, make it manageable, and have this clarity as far as, okay, so like, where do I even begin? I'm going to go through and categorize each of these wish list items into whether they're more practical or aesthetic and which layer of my wardrobe that they're in. The scoop neck tops are probably, they're like a combination of a practical and aesthetic for me, I would say. And then, yeah, they're a base layer. So, and then the bodysuits are the same. The floaty blouse is definitely more of an aesthetic. It would be a base layer too, right? The essentials like the tank tops and the classic fit cashmere jumpers, which actually I just wear them like close to my body as a base layer as well. So they're definitely base layers and they're definitely practical. The jeans that fit me, this is, I would say, probably more in the replacements realm because I do have jeans that pretty much fit me right now, but it's just like they don't fit me as great as they used to. It's sort of somewhere between practical and replacement. I'm going to put R for replacement. The Christy Dawn dresses, definitely aesthetic. I have lots of dresses and floaty things that I already own. And then also they are a base layer item. The dressing gown is kind of in a realm of its own because it's loungewear, so it doesn't really even make up part of my like practical going out the door wardrobe. I would call it a replacement because I actually am currently wearing Adam's dressing gown all the time, so I'll just leave it without a layer for now. The bags, these are aesthetic. These are nice to have, and they're obviously in the cherries layer. The jewelry, again, aesthetic, nice to have. And the shoes, which are definitely in the practical layer, but I do own shoes in my life. So these shoes are sort of like the aesthetic versions. They're the nice to have. Okay, so we have all of my wish list now categorized, which actually feels like a relief. It feels like, okay, I'm starting to climb that mountain. I'm starting to manage the items that I have. And so now that I know sort of where they land on my list of priorities, I can now move them around according to which are the most important pieces that I'm currently missing. So I'm going to start by moving all of the practical items up to the top, anything that has a P, and then it's going to be aesthetic ones next. And so then within those categories, we're going to prioritize them again according to, for me, which are the most important layers of my wardrobe. And then as far as prioritizing the aesthetics gaps, the outerwear comes first. The bags and the base layers here are kind of tied for me because I already have kind of floaty looking blouses or a couple of floaty looking blouses, and then I have dresses, but I only have 3 bags. So I feel like the bag for me here would be more important to buy than the dresses. And then as far as the replacements, we have obviously like the dressing gown, which I could or could not kind of live without, you know what I mean? It's like a nice to have. And then the jeans, which I have called a replacement because I already have something that's kind of filling that gap. So it's not as important to me as say like a scoop neck long sleeve top, which I actually don't own any of. So hopefully it's been kind of helpful to you to see and that little rundown and run through. Where do I start? How do I start breaking it down? I think it's so important to break it down according to, is it a practical need or is it an aesthetic need? Do I already have something that's filling this gap at the moment that's kind of doing the same job? So practical, then aesthetic, then replacement, and then thinking about your wardrobe in terms of layers, like how you build your outfits. Is it part of the base layer of an outfit? Is it part of a practical outerwear? Is it part of the cherries on top? Or is it one of those middle layering layers? And actually, the middle layering layers and the outerwears, sometimes they can be interchangeable, again, depending on your climate. Say if you live somewhere like Southern California, you might not really have that much of a winter. So something like a cozy cardigan, that might become your outerwear, or something like a nice denim jacket, a nice suede jacket, which might not seem practical to somebody who's living in England in winter. You kind of have to pick and choose according to where you're living and what is actually practical for you. So this has been the condensed version of my whole sort of wardrobe philosophy, how to build your wardrobe from woe to go. Let me know if it's been helpful to you, if you're going to apply some of these concepts to your own wardrobe. Let me know what is the biggest gap in your wardrobe right now. Be that practical, be that aesthetic, or just the number one thing that's on your wish list that you want the most out of all of them. I'd love to know. I've left you another video to watch next down below. I think you'll really enjoy it, and I will see you very shortly in my next one. Bye.